Hi, this is American English with Linda. And notice I've changed from talking in American English. For 2026, I'm going to call my videos American English with Linda because you're going to have conversations with me on the videos. So this first one is about winter weather, and it's January, and this is the first one this week. I'll try to do one a week. So let's see what we've got. Part one of this video will be a sample conversation about a topic. This time it's winter. And it will practice pronunciation, vocabulary, and sentence patterns, and use common sentences that you can learn and use easily. Sometimes you can learn about the culture as well. And part two will be specific explanations of maybe vocabulary, idioms, and some grammar tips, and maybe something else, but it'll be more specific items than the first part of the conversation. Life in winter. Joe and Pam talked to Linda about life during the winter in the USA. Part one is using just the simple present, which is, if you remember my earlier videos, I call these forms 1 and 2, which talk about any time. Write down and memorize a few of the black or purple sentences, just a few, and try to use some of them when speaking. Which sentence would you like to try to learn? Joe says, "What is your life like in Texas in winter?" In other words, what do you usually do in winter? So I answer, in winter, I usually wear a sweater or a coat and long pants or trousers or slacks, including jeans. I don't wear dresses as often. In some places in the USA, it is colder, and people put on caps and gloves. But in Texas, we often don't need them. I put away my short-sleeved shirts, like t-shirts, shorter pants, and sandals. And Joe says, "So you store your summer clothes?" "Yes, I do." Pam asks, "Do you change what you eat? Does it vary from summer to winter?" "I eat more soup and drink more hot chocolate. I drink fewer cold drinks and eat less ice cream. My sister eats hot oatmeal. She doesn't drink coffee, but she does drink hot tea. She drinks hot tea every morning in the winter." So Joe asks, "What else is different?" "I remain indoors most of the time. I stay where it is warm. I don't go for long walks. I sometimes exercise indoors with ankle or hand weights. I also watch more TV, study more, and read more books." Pam says, "Does the weather change very much from summer to winter?" In Texas, it doesn't change as much. It does rain a little more, but we don't get monsoon rains like some countries, and rain is more common in the spring. It does get colder, but warm and cold weather alternate. It doesn't often snow. So Joe says, "So how much snow do you get in Texas?" "We rarely get more than an inch of snow, And many winters, it doesn't snow at all. The northwest part of Texas gets a little more snow than the rest of Texas. It's a big state. So now Pam asks, is the weather the same all over the USA? No, the weather is different in other areas. In some parts of the USA, it snows every year and icy roads are common. The temperature drops below freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, regularly. The USA is a large country. The weather varies a lot from one area to another. Joe says, what about climate change? It is obvious that climate change is affecting the weather. It is easy to see that it is much warmer. Notice I underlined that with 2 underlines and that with 2 underlines. That's because these words or phrases mean the same thing, and sometimes they're idioms down here. It is easy to see that it is much warmer in the winter on average than it was a few decades ago. It is as plain as day, or as my friend would say, it is as plain as the nose on your face. Now we're on part 2, vocabulary and grammar. And again, I suggest you memorize or write down some, not all, some of the green sentences and try to use some of them when speaking. Vocabulary. Pants, trousers, and slacks can refer to the same item of clothing. I just put all 3 of them in the conversation, but one would have been enough. Each of these is plural. It's like one pant and another pant make a pair of pants. So pants is plural. One trouser leg, the other trouser leg make trousers. It's plural. Same thing with slacks. So when you put them in sentences, it will be plural. His trousers, it's just one pair. His trousers are gray. Her pants are red. His slacks are way too long. Trousers is often used to refer to men's clothing more than women's clothing, but not always. These 3 words can describe both men's and women's clothing. Jeans are made of denim and usually have pockets, decorative metal buttons, and seams with double visible, you can see them, stitches. There'll be 2 visible stitches down the side of each leg and around the pockets, 2 side by side seams. Jeans are usually blue. Remains is a word that's in the story, and as a verb it means stays the same. It can also be a noun, and if it's a noun it means what is left or what is left over. For example, he remains quiet as he looks at the remains of the burned house. He stays quiet as he looks at what is left of the burned house, the remains of the burned house. So it can be a noun or a verb. Alternate is in the conversation. As a verb, this word means go back and forth, such as this sentence. This pattern alternates. Here, 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 here. Alternate is pronounced differently when it's an adjective. Alternate, alternate, alternate. It means it's a different choice. An alternate route is to go around another way. It's an alternate route, so it's an adjective, and this is not ate anymore. It's ut, alternate. Strange, but that's what we do. Change and vary basically mean the same thing, but vary can also mean alternate. If you want change to mean alternate, you would probably say change back and forth or something like that. Change the tire. Vary your activities. Don't do the same thing all the time. I alternate between a sweater and a coat. Rarely means it almost never happens, but it does happen. It rarely gets down to 0 degrees in Texas. Rarely. It does happen, but rarely. We had fewer and less in this conversation, so let's look at those. Use fewer if you can count the noun, and less if you can't really count it. I drink fewer cold drinks. I can count them. 1 drink, 2 drinks, 3 drinks. I eat less ice cream. It's just an amount of a big amount, and it's not countable. Now, if I want to count it, I would have to say the container that it's in. I eat fewer bowls of ice cream. Store and put away. Put away is a verbal. It takes 2 words to make the one verb. So, as a verb, it means put something in a place to save for later, often where you can't see it. For example, we store groceries in the cabinet. We put away the groceries. The word decades is in the conversation. A decade is 10 years. So decades would have to be at least 20 years, and it could mean many more than that. I haven't seen him in decades. Next, we have idioms. I don't have very many this time, but sometimes I'll have more. Meaning easy to see. Easy to see is also the same as obvious. It's obvious. It's easy to see. Some idioms that go with that. Plain as day. It's plain as day. Or some people say clear as day, although that's not in the conversation. Clear as day. Plain as the nose on your face. And one little note, 0 degrees Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and we use Fahrenheit in the United States. Most countries use Celsius. So this is the grammar part. What is it like is a common question. You can answer it 2 ways. What is it similar to? And in that case, you would say it is like something, or it is as something as. Like and as would answer similar to. When you say, what is it like? Examples of sentences would be, the snow sparkles like diamonds. The sparkling is similar to diamond sparkling. Or the ice is as smooth as glass. But oftentimes we really mean just describe it. What is it like? Meaning describe it. The snow is white, soft, and lovely, and I could say cold, and I could say many other things. But what is it like doesn't have to compare as an answer, but it could. ER is used at the end of shorter adjectives when only 2 things are being compared. It's warmer in summer than in winter. I'm just comparing summer and winter. Summer is warmer. If you compare more than 2, use EST. The coldest winter month is January. There's December, January, February. I'm saying January is colder. Some people might say February is colder. That's just my opinion. For longer adjectives, add more or most in front of the word. Thunderstorms are more frightening, not frighteninger, than just rain. The most beautiful sunsets have some clouds, not beautifulest, most beautiful. Never add both ER and more or EST and most, not both of them. Wrong. January is more colder than March. You don't need both more and this is short, so we're not going to use more. Correct would be January is colder. Don't say Texas is the most friendliest. Texas is supposed to be friendly. You would say Texas is the most friendly, not with the EST. More or more than go with a verb to compare two actions or times of the action. I sleep more when it is cold. It rains more than it snows. So I'm talking about verbs here, not adjectives. It rains more than it snows. You eat more in winter than you eat in summer. Okay. Rains or does rain? Gets or does get? In a positive statement with he, she, or it. Does just makes the verb stronger. It rains often in spring. Yes, it does rain often in spring. Doesn't snow. In a negative simple present statement, do or does is needed, and not or nt has to go with it. This sweater doesn't keep me warm. Older people don't go out in the cold. Or use never. Then do or does is optional. It never snows. It never does snow. Either one of those is correct. He, she, or it adds s or es to the verb. But if it has does, remember we can add does with a verb even if it's positive, or doesn't if it's negative. In front of the verb, the s on does is enough. Then there is no s or es added to the verb. She drinks tea. She does drink tea. That's a stronger way of saying it, but the s is here, not here. She doesn't drink coffee. No s is needed on drink, but we do need it here. It rains. It does rain. That's stronger. It doesn't rain. Rains gets an s, but this s means no s here, and this s means no s here. And that's our lesson for today. I hope that helps, and I'll see you next week.